Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. My name is Nimish Shardia, and I'm your host. I always love starting every episode by saying thank you. I feel so blessed with this podcast. The people it reaches, the impact it has. I started as a passion project, and I was guided by my mentor, my friend Sidra Jeffrey, who's no longer with us, to use my voice, and also got the message through the Akashic Record. And I started maybe doing 1 or 2 episodes, maybe one a month, and now I'm doing 2 a week. And the people it reaches, the impact it has, the messages I get on a weekly basis, I feel very, very blessed. And I am an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. What I get to do, I get to guide people on their journey. I get to help people understand why they're here, release the programming, truly shine their own light and condition. I love what I get to do. I do that through so many ways. I have a beautiful mentorship program through 12 weeks. I guide you to really release your programming, to really understand the core of who you are. And yeah, it is a bit of a roller coaster, but it's such a beautiful process. And I have a framework, but every session is channeled. And I love doing it. I did introduce the phase 2 last year, which is where if you've done phase 1, I guide you to be a healer, a deeper healer, maybe to be a spiritual mentor. So if my voice resonates, reach out. With this podcast, I get to interview some amazing, amazing guests, and I'm so excited about today. I have known Sangeeta, who's the guest on this podcast, for many years. We met through Sidra, and such a beautiful light. I am blessed that she, in many ways, let me guide her through the phases. She is an amazing healer, and she has a book coming out, and I'm excited for this conversation. Be looking forward to it. Sangeeta, I'd love for you to introduce yourself using your own words.
My name is Sangeeta Dewan. I'm also a spiritual mentor, Akashic Record reader, a hypnotherapist, and now an author of a beautiful book called Hope Beyond Grief Surviving the Unthinkable. So, super excited to be on this podcast with Nimesh because he's my mentor. And like he mentioned, we met through Sidra Jaffrey, who is guiding I think me as well. She has always held this space for me, and I have so much love for her. And let's see what happened in the conversation. My intention is to bring hope to people who are going through grief, loss, who have carried trauma and felt that felt where are they going to go in life. And I am here to, as a messenger, using my voice and words, bringing hope to life, hope to people. And yeah, super excited, Nimesh.
Beautiful, beautiful. And, I'm excited to talk about your book and the journey with your book. I just, when you talk about grief and kind of holding space for people going through grief, and I just feel like right now, the planet is going through a lot of grief, right? We're going through this massive shift, and I feel like in many ways, we're kind of grieving the old version of ourselves, right? The version that we worked so hard for, and I feel like we're all kind of going through this rebirth and kind of in that holding pattern, maybe not fully, whatever it feels like, wherever you're at is perfect. But I'm curious, what's your feeling with the current energy? I mean, in terms of, when I talk about shifting from divine masculine to divine feminine, I do feel there's an intense energy right now, and I feel like, yeah, a lot of people are going through things differently. Maybe a lot of people are at the birth stage. Maybe a lot of people are at the grief stage. Maybe a lot of people are, kind of the final stage of letting go of that version of themselves. How are you feeling right now, and what are you feeling is happening with the people around you?
I think there's a lot of emotion stirring up for people, and I'm feeling. I was calm, and I think I'm really feeling the shift from divine masculine to divine feminine, even in my own personal life, kind of thing. And I have seen that, the divine masculine self was for me was how I wanted to control myself or the other people and the outcome, because we want to keep ourselves safe and protected, because of the journey I have gone through, a lot of trauma and things like that we will talk about it. But it's a lot of work I have done to say, okay, how can I let go? How can I surrender? And when I do, I have looked back actually during this whole last year when I was writing the book. I saw those moments, those magical moments that brought a lot of shift in me. Was the moments when I let go, was the moments when I surrendered. And it was difficult to feel that. And it still is like, I have done it many times, but it is like we naturally get into this control kind of thing. Okay, I want certain outcome, or I want certain person, or I want my children to be a certain way, or my life to look a certain way. But now I'm feeling more and more, I feel I'm embodying divine feminine. I feel ease. I feel at ease in saying, okay, yes, I have to take action. Yeah, I have to do things. But if I let go of the result, the outcome, when and how people will show up, how things will show up, then I feel our guides, divine has the best, you know, I feel divine is like loving us and waiting for us to say, okay, are you about to let go of the control and surrender and let me show you what I have, what my plan is for you. And it's always, whenever I have surrendered, there's always a better plan and things that I couldn't even imagine, our human mind, we couldn't even fathom. Um,
Exactly.
so for
Yeah.
me, it is like, but a lot of people are going through it around me as well. A lot of pain I feel, a lot of I'm seeing with my children, with my friends, with my family, a lot going on. And being an empath, sometimes, I don't realize that I am picking up on their energy. And I think I remember having a conversation with you a couple of times, and you said, have you asked, is that your energy or is it somebody
Yeah.
else's, isn't it? So I forget still to ask. I still feel it's my energy. But I suppose I feel my role in my family and my friends and everybody's life is as an empath that we take on and then we release and we help the planet go through this shift as well. So I'm hoping I am doing all right in that process.
It's a journey, right? There's
Yeah.
no right or wrong. There's no perfect. There's no. I mean, that's a good reminder, though, right? I mean, one of the things that Sangeeta was talking about is it's always good, in this world we're always checking outside of ourselves, right? Now with AI, it's like we're always checking in, but we should always check in with ourselves first. So if you're feeling ungrounded, or if you're feeling emotional, or if you're feeling whatever, it's always good to check in with you and say, is it mine? Because everybody around us is going through so much, and it's just like if you just trust your intuition, and you could even ask, okay, what percentage is mine? Because some of it sometimes it's a bit of yours,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the path is not yours. You don't need to carry it. You can return it to source,
Hmm.
and you feel so much lighter. So, but Sangeeta, I'd love to know more about your story, your journey, and kind of, what's guided you to be the healer that you are today.
I think my journey started back in India, when I was where I was born. And I remember my parents telling me that I was such a happy child, when I was born. And then something hit me quite hard when I was not even two. I had polio, and it's like my life shifted overnight, and for my family as well. It was not just the implication on me. I think I was too young to even know the implications at that time. It was my parents' world, turned upside down, and it impacted my siblings, of course, because my mom had to leave my siblings to the relative. And there, my journey started off difficulties. And when I grew older, there was a lot of bullying. I think growing up in India, where now things have changed a lot. At that time, it was like the girl has to be perfect. She needs to look beautiful, physically beautiful, skin tone nice, slim body, or whatever. And I think I grew up feeling that I will never be enough. I will never have that perfection that people are looking for. So I don't know where my life is going to take me. I had no idea whether I will ever get married or have children, but I had dreams of having a certain life, but people around me were always looking at me with those eyes. And as an empath, I was picking up that they were feeling sorry for me. Yes, they might be saying nice things, but what they were feeling or what they were thinking were completely two different things. And I remember growing up and I was thinking, they're saying nice things, so why I'm feeling that that's not the truth. And I used to get so confused in my head. It's like, why is that? There was a disconnect in what I was picking up and what I was hearing. And later on, of course, a few years ago, I found out that was my gift. I was picking up actually on what was going on. But it really created havoc in my life because I was always doubting myself. It's like,
Mm.
I'm feeling or what I'm listening, is that two different things? Who do I trust? And so even at times when I was sharing with my parents, mostly with my mom, it's like, why I'm thinking like that, or why when that person is being nice, but I'm feeling like that. And she used to say, no, you're too silly. Shouldn't think like that. They're nice people. See what nice things they are saying. And I was thinking, I know what they're saying, but I am not, it's not sitting well with me, kind of thing. So I think I was just ignored. So my gifts were there, but they didn't develop because I was doubting myself. People around me were doubting me. But I have gone through a lot of, again, bullying, and then I have gone through abuse as well later on for many, many years. And that, of course, brought me down a lot. And when I was writing this book, I was thinking, oh my God, how did I get through all those things? Everything I get through it. But what I realized, what as an empath, and I was always a child who had very high intensity emotions, so I would like cry, or I would like feel it all. And then when I would express it or share it, or when I get angry, I was told off. I was like, again, girls don't do that. Girls don't shout, or girls don't get angry. And I used to always ask him, I was like, why is that? Why am I different? Why is my brother can feel angry and shout, and why can't I do that? So I was like, labeled as a troublemaker because I used to ask a lot of questions. But that didn't stop me. I was like, no,
I'm sure it did it. I'm sure it did it.
if something didn't sit well with me, I have to question it. But again, I carried on because somewhere I had this hope in me since I was very young that I'm meant to do something else. I'm not meant to stay stuck in this place. I will move. Things will change. And I think that's the thread I have shared with everybody in my book, is like, no matter what goes on, how hard your life gets, if you had that hope that something in you is telling you that life will change, life will get better, you will work towards it. So I remember one moment was very poignant in my book when I wrote. It was like, how did I get through all those challenges? Was I used to cry at night, and some night, whole night I would cry, and my pillows will be wet, but nobody would notice it. People were so busy in their own lives running around that nobody would notice that I'm feeling sad. Nobody would notice to check with me. So I learned to self soothe. And that was my process. And in the morning, because I realized when I grew, I think 14, 15, I really realized that people don't want to know your problems. People want to see you, hear you laughing and talking and being kind and being polite. So I started to do that. I started to suppress my um, core feelings and what I was feeling. And I was like, okay, if I feel bad, I will cry it out at night. That was my time to be myself. And then in the morning, I wake up with a smile, and I was the joker of the class. But I think all that pain gave me a gift, was my sense of humor. Really helped me to learn to laugh a lot, laugh at myself, joke about myself, because I knew otherwise people are joking and laughing behind my back. So I was like, all right, then I'll just
Yeah,
laugh
why
at
not laugh at
myself.
yourself? I love it. I love it. It makes so much sense.
But that really helped me. My sense of humor helped me. My self-soothing helped me. And then I continued that process, and yeah, brought me here in the UK then later on, which again turned another page.
Yeah, and we'll come on to that, but I want to just stay in. It's interesting how many people right now I feel like are here to break the mold.
Hmm.
And you kind of grown up in India where there's more in some ways there's more extremes of culture and expectations of what a man should do, what a woman should do, and you're never here to conform. So and the way that you dealt with it was in many ways deal with it on your own at night and pushing down your emotion, I guess, during the day. How does it feel in this version of you to kind of know that part of why you're here is to kind of break that mold, to do maybe something maybe doing differently, and your coping mechanism. What would you advise people to do today?
Wow, this version, I think at that time when I was doing that, I was quite young and I didn't feel safe to speak up, safe to share what was going on. But now, in this version, I would ask people to really take care of themselves first, put themselves first. Because what I learned was people pleasing. I always put other people first and saying, okay, if I say that, oh, my mom feels might get hurt. Oh, if I say that, my dad might feel hurt, or my sibling, or anybody else. So my process was like, it's okay for me to be hurting, but I don't want to hurt somebody else. And I think, when you asked what made me a healer, that's what made me a healer, because I knew how deeply it can cut people, how much it hurt when somebody makes fun of you, when somebody bullies you, when somebody abuses you. And I never wanted to cause that pain to anybody. And I actually grew up taking care of other people when they were in pain. But what I would advise you now, if anybody is listening and going through, is please take care of yourself. You come first. If you are in a good space, if you are ready to start your healing journey, take that option, because when we feel better, we do better. Because I remember my pain. Of course, I was suppressing it for a long time, but eventually it used to overspill, because this volcano that was building in, one day it erupts. And then again, I was labeled a difficult child, or a person who is very angry, or person maybe who doesn't have manners because I'm speaking in front of adults. But I realized very young age that, because I was observing a lot, I was looking at people, I was thinking, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to behave like that. Why are people afraid to be different? And I was questioning that, and I realized very late in my life, actually I was here to break all those molds. I was here to do things differently, and that's why maybe people were looking at me weird, thinking, where does this courage comes from? Okay, very rarely, but where's this courage comes from to speak up in front of adults, to question them, to question their
Yeah.
ways? But I had that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it used to come out.
No, and it's beautiful, right? And it's just like, as I say, it's like, when kind of we were growing up, even more so in India, it's like women were expected to kind of conform.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's like causing people pain is an interesting thing, because for me, I know that we're both expanders, and part of that is allowing people to sit in their pain. I'm not here to stop people's pain,
Yeah.
because you grow through your pain, right? But growing up, and certainly when kind of started on the spiritual path, I wanted to stop everybody's pain, because you could feel it, right? And you're like, well, hold on, I have these gifts, let me try and help people and stop all their pain. And I kind of realized that I'm not here to stop people's pain. I mean, I love the phrase "pain is inevitable, suffering is option," because I feel like we can guide people to stop suffering, but the pain is helping you somewhere, because it's kind of like what you're here to experience. And the trick is to feel the pain and not sit in it. So I'm just curious, how have you gone through that journey of realizing that pushing your pain down and processing it is a big part of why you're here?
Yeah, I did realize it, because one thing I used to question about my life, whenever it was extreme pain, when I was, in like extreme discomfort, I used to sit and cry and ask divine, it's like, why is my life so challenging? Why is that? When I was young, my questions were like, everybody else around me is healthy. Why am I, who had polio, who has this
Mm,
challenge? Why am I that people are looking at with this, sadness, or poor me, or maybe, laughing. Why is me? Why did you chose me? So I had these questions, and every time I went through challenge, I had these questions. But I think the only time, and because when Mahesh was diagnosed, that was the only time I felt I didn't end up in victimhood, victim consciousness. Every time a challenge came, I was the victim of the situations. But when Mahesh got diagnosed and he was given a few weeks to live.
All right, let's take a little bit step back because
Okay, okay,
people don't know who Mahesh is yet.
okay,
So
okay. We'll
let's go
talk.
there. So
But
yeah, let's talk about your journey here then, because it's like you're talking about Mahesh.
yeah,
Let's
okay,
introduce him and who he is, so people know
sure.
who you're talking about.
So yeah, so it's about asking those difficult questions. Why me? Why me? And then I realized again, I think when I turned 40, I went into depression. And I realized that something in me is shifting, needs to shift so I can guide the next generation. So I can break that cycle, I can break that curse. And so my children don't have to carry that. And I just started that journey just because I wanted to be a good mom. And I didn't want them to be on the receiving end of my trauma and my pain that I was carrying. I just felt that they were not part of this. That's not the
Yeah,
deal. And I want to
and
finish this
yeah,
pain here and break that cycle. So I
yeah.
started doing that. Yeah.
It's beautiful how you know kids can be a great motivator.
Yeah.
It's like you're doing it for you, but and how grief is so much of an expander. So let's kind of dive into kind of when you moved to the UK. Give us an overview of your journey here. Who Mahesh is. 'Cause I know you mentioned him a few times already. So let's introduce kind of that version of you, so
Yeah.
people understand that part of you.
Thank you. So yeah, Mahesh is my dear husband. We met in India in 1997, and it was like, people I was my parents were looking for boys for me for arranged marriage, and of course, when the boys were meeting me, they would like me, and as soon as I will share that I had polio, they would just like, oh my god, it's like we don't want to go there kind of thing. So me and Mahesh met by chance. My dad and his dad were friends from Pakistan from very young age. And so he just came to pick up his mom, who was quite ill. And it was like by chance, we were not even thinking to meet. And he just came for a week. And his dad and my dad, I don't know, they might have spoken, and he says, well, while you're picking up your mom, why don't you meet Mr. Grover's daughter? Like your marriageable age, and and you haven't found anybody in England, and kind of thing. And we met. And just for a few hours, the funniest thing was he had such a strong Bristolian accent. Okay. I'm from India. And when he's talking to me, I was like, I don't know what you're talking, but you sound really good. I was like, okay, we were sharing, we were talking. And out of 2 hours of us talking to each other, I might have understood 15 minutes of what he said. I think my soul really recognized him. I felt really good being around him. In my body, I was feeling not too excited, but quite calm. And I thought that was a good sign. He was quite a handsome man, and so we met, and then our parents said, okay. But then he said to his mom, I would like to meet her again, if we want to. And he was not even thinking that we'll get engaged or anything like that. So next day we met for a few hours, and the drive, we were going to a restaurant. My brother and sister-in-law were driving us, and they were thinking to drop us. In every other sentence, he would use pub. I was like, what is this bloody pub? I was like, it must be a very important place. I had no idea what the pub was. I was a mandir goer. I used to go to temple every day to put jal on Shivji. He was a pub goer. Imagine the difference. And I'm thinking, it's like, it must be a very important place. So I asked my sister, and I was like, what is pub? And she said, well, that's where people go for drinking. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
we
And then I guess pub would have been a very British thing, right?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, it was. Anyways, we met and we got engaged. After 2 days, we met. Third day, we got engaged.
Wow.
We said, both of us said yes somehow. And then he flew back to England. And then few months we got married, and I came over here. And again, that was the first time I felt, it was again huge shift, change from me, who has, I was not fond of speaking English. I was not fond of wearing Western clothes. I was like all Indian, everything I have
Wow.
always
Like an
imagined.
alien, like a
Yeah,
yeah, fish out of water for sure.
yeah, it was
And in Bristol, which, as you say, the
interesting.
accent's pretty strong. It's not like London where, you get lots of different the
True,
accents.
true.
So how did that feel? How did that go?
Yeah. So in the beginning, of course, it was challenging because I came here quite late as well, in end of November. So the days were darker. So, first few months were excitement, of course, getting to know each other. We didn't know each other. Then the reality set in, saying, okay, I'm so far from my family in India and all of that. Started to miss my friends, my family, and all of that. But I think again, I felt there was a lot of change was happening. I think I have gone through a few deaths, the few rebirths I have gone through it. But again, that thread was like, one day I remember crying, saying, I don't know this man. I don't know this culture. I don't know anything about England. But here I am married to a man. And what do I do? Again, I cried and I surrendered and saying, okay, why is this me? Why couldn't I just stay in India and have a normal life that I imagined? Again, normal life wasn't for me. you know. So then I realized, it's like, okay, this is what it is, and I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to adapt. I'm going to do whatever I can without losing my own principles, core principles, without losing who I am. I'm going to do my best to adapt to English culture, British culture, adapt to knowing Mahesh and doing my best. And yeah, we had a touchwood very, very lovely marriage. Not that we didn't have difficulties, we had, but we overcame together, kind of thing. So yeah, so that.
I love it. And so, I mean, I guess you're a great example of how a life kind of goes in blocks, right? Your childhood, the impact of polio, being in India, and kind of growing up being, bullied. That's kind of like almost one phase, and
Mm.
then becoming you, right? Becoming a teenager, using your voice, and then, you know, getting married and moved to the UK. It's like they feel like distinct lives, right? Different lives. So,
Yeah.
let's move on to, you mentioned Mahesh's diagnosis and kind of you talked about grief at the beginning and the premise of your book, but let's move on to that in terms of, grief is, for me, it's always been a powerful expander. Kind of when I lost, my dad over 30 years ago, mom over 15 years ago, I can actually track the impact that had, and especially when Sidra left this realm, I can track how I was playing safe, and it pushed me to be here. We wouldn't be having this conversation without it, right? So tell us more about, kind of that part of your journey. You mentioned a little bit about his diagnosis and all that sort of stuff, but let's dive into that and, how grief kind of plays an impact on our world.
Yeah, so like I was saying, we got married in 1997, got two wonderful boys, and we were going through life, and boys moved to university. One was in the university third year, final year, and one just started. And me
Yeah,
and
just to mention, by the way, before you dive in,
yeah,
Indian couple with two boys. I mean, just so everyone knows, like from an Indian culture perspective, that's like a perfect life. So, I'm sure everyone's looking at you saying, "Oh, she has such an idyllic life. Has two boys. They're all healthy." And so, just
yeah,
wanted to point that out because I feel like that's because on the outside, our lives look perfect, right?
true,
So,
true. And I didn't even think about that. See,
Yeah.
it never came across to me that how, my life might look to other people from outside. And I think whatever happened, I was always at every stage, different stage, I was grateful. But then in 2020, in 2019, we visited India, me, Mahesh, and my boys. And we were noticing him, something was changing in him. And as a healer, I was noticing his life force was draining and he was not that active. Something was slowing down. And then in 2020, when COVID hit, we were at home. He was working from home. So, of course, I was seeing him a lot. Before that, he was traveling away for work. So every day we were sitting and I was watching and I was like, something isn't right. Something isn't right in him. And me and boys were noticing it. And then he wouldn't listen. We said, well, you should go to doctor. And he would not listen. No, no, no. What's wrong with me? Everything is fine. Da, da, da. And me and boys were getting frustrated. Like, why isn't he listening? Because we are definitely seeing the changes in him. Clearly, he wasn't seeing that. But yeah, one day it just became two extremes. He was having a volatile vomiting and everything. And I had to then drag him, literally saying, okay, we are going to A&E. We have to take you to hospital. But because of COVID, we couldn't go inside. So I have to just bring wheelchair, take him in. The nurse took him in. And after 2 days, we were given the diagnosis that this part still gets difficult, that he had a multiple brain tumor and he had few weeks to live. Yeah, so it was.
Take your time. Take your time.
Yeah, so that was biggest challenge in my life. I had to face till date. But then, luckily, he stayed with us for 14 months,
Wow.
and we did everything in our power to make him happy and do whatever he wanted to do. But I remember again questioning Divine. I say, okay, is there anything else left for you to throw my way? you know, um, and I was like, why do you think I can go through all of that and survive? And maybe that's why I'm still here.
No, 100%. And as kind of as you process that, I would just say, look, I feel like there's a lot of, if you listen to this and you've been through and you can relate to what Sangeeta's going through, it's that, we in this lifetime, whether it helps or not, we chose to heal a lot of personal ancestral karma, which is why we've gone through things at such a deep level. And does it make it right? Not really. But does it help you to understand? Maybe. But we pick challenging lives, right? And Sangeeta, you talk about your journey, and kind of in every, I guess in every part of your life, you kind of settled into that phase, and then universe has sent you like a challenge, and you've kind of grown from it. So, but yeah, take us through what happened next, and that part of the journey.
So when he was diagnosed, we were going through all this emotions and everything else. And I think one of my biggest challenge was, how do I go through it without breaking down? Because if I would to break down, my boys, they were very young, they were 19 and 21 at that time. They were falling apart on one side. Mahesh's illness so required my physical kind of presence to take care of him. Because of COVID, we couldn't even get any help. And on the other side of the situation was I had to take care of all the finances, the practicalities of the things, and to be strong physically, mentally, emotionally, to hold space. Again, then I became that space holder for everybody and picking up on everybody's emotions. My family in India was breaking down. They were quite feeling really distraught because they couldn't travel to see me or to help me or to be with Mahesh. and me here, I was feeling all of that. So just, yeah, again, it was, I remember the day he had operation, because there was one tumor was quite big. He had to go through operation for that, otherwise he had days to live. um, and I remember just being very quiet that day. I was like, okay, I don't want to talk to anything. I was just walking in my garden, sitting quietly, doing nothing. And I remember hearing this voice, is remember who you are. And I was like, who am I? Kind of thing, questioning, who am I? I'm this, Sangeeta who's like, I didn't think much of myself at that time. It's like, and then the voice continued, and remember what you have learned till now. I was like, okay, that really made me stop. I was like, who am I and what have I learned? That took me back to my spiritual journey when I hit depression in 2009 and I started to learn. And then 2013, I met Sidra, learning about healing, ancestral wounding, and everything else. And those 12 years it's like my soul was preparing me to know that I am going to hit another huge challenge. So if I don't have that knowledge, I am going to be no good to anybody, because then, I wouldn't be able to cope with it. So in that moment, although it was the most challenging day of my life, most difficult day, the grounding that I felt with that voice saying, okay, it just somehow anchored me,
Mm,
so
beautiful.
so beautifully. It's like, okay, I am solid. I am not going anywhere. I have to hold space. And it felt like the vision felt like I am in the middle of that storm that is all around me. But I was feeling calm. And it was even, I really got even angry with myself. It's like, how can I feel calm when this is happening in my life? How can I do that? I
Mm,
felt that, am I disconnected from my reality in that moment? How can I feel calm? you know but I was feeling calm,
yeah,
you know
beautiful.
uh,
Mm,
and it's just like, okay. So then I took back my intention, saying, what have I learned? And I learned to ground myself, I learned to meditate. And then the voice continued saying, take care of you so you can take care of everybody else. And that was just, okay, that shifted me. I was like, okay, how do I do that? So I started my practices, in the morning before Mahesh, when he came home from the hospital. I started my practices before he got up. So I said, okay, I had shower. I do my meditation, which I created for other people, inner peace meditation. I had to use that. So calm myself down. And then my biggest prayer was to divine was, okay, give me only 24 hours of energy and strength so I can just take care of the day, take care of everybody I love, and give me the strength and guide me. Because you clearly have brought me to this place for a reason. I don't know the reason right now. I don't know how I will get through it. I don't know what I have to do every day, but I promise you that I will do my best. Again, there was something I was like either self soothing or self talking, bringing that, tapping into that inner strength that I was not aware of it. So
wow. Isn't it interesting when you're going through something painful that the universe does make, it gives you that inner strength from somewhere.
somewhere, yeah, we tap into it, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's just powerful, powerful stuff. So um tell us what happens next.
So then, of course, we went through many, many challenges, and he left us after 14 months. Um, and like I was saying before, that when you stopped me, I was saying that was the first time in my life I didn't feel like a victim. I felt like there was a purpose for this. And I realized, and I said it very early on to my boys as well when we were going through this challenge. And I said, boys, I said, I don't know why, but I feel like I want to share this with you, is that our souls have picked up this challenge before even we incarnate, for us
Yeah.
to grow from it, for us to be
Mm,
someone we didn't even think. And if we have picked this challenge up for us to grow, that means we'll get through it. And that's all I can say right now. And I will, again, I was holding them energetically. I was sharing with them, and I remember my youngest son and my both boys says, Mom, we have never seen this version of you. How strong are you? I was taking care of my husband day and night. Some days I didn't even sleep for 9 to 10 days, at stretch. And I was just on the go, on the go. I remember our friends looking at me saying, oh my God, she's going to collapse. And they came and they said, once the COVID thing opened up, the people could come say, are you okay, Sangeeta? We feel like you're going to collapse. I said, no, I will not allow myself to collapse. I said, I
Mm.
know what I need to do right now.
Yeah.
And I collapsed after Mahesh passed.
Yeah, it's the survival instinct, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about after Mahesh left this round. Then
So when
what was that about?
Mahesh, yeah, so it was again like my life changed, forever. It was then I have to look at surviving without him. Again, the world look at you as, oh, I was 52 and I was a widow. And again, that, same look, it took me
Yeah,
back to my childhood. When people
the
look at
polio
you, they
time.
feel
Yeah,
sorry for you. They feel really sorry for you that, oh my God,
it's
what
it's
you're
that
going,
it's that head nod. You get that head nod in the sideways.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. They look at you,
yeah.
they feel sorry for you. And they don't say it, but you pick it up. And something in me shifted again. And I thought, no, I want to break this mold. I don't want people to think about me as a widow. I would change that. I would change that narrative. I would be this woman. I stopped, I never associated actually that word with me. I thought myself as a single woman. I'm single now, kind of thing. And I thought I'm not going to be like wear certain clothes and behave in a certain way. I'm going to live my best life. Because I remember Mahesh asking me to promise me, says, Mrs. I want you to live your best life. And I said to
I
him, I don't know how long it'll take. I promise I will do my best again. And I wanted to, but pain was so deep. I It was such a I was so naive when Mahesh was ill. I was thinking maybe it'll take me 6 months to get over this or process this grief, but it was deep. It took me, I think, first year was just surviving, just doing the practical things, taking care of boys and just being there for me. After 1 year again I hit depression, and then I thought, okay, how do I keep my promise to my husband? I was like, if I am depressed, my boys are going to feel really down. They have already lost their one parent. I don't want them to lose me either. So again, they were in forefront of my whatever I wanted to do.
yeah,
um,
perfect, beautiful.
and then I got myself up and I said, okay, I have certain abilities. I have done Reiki healing. I have learned so much about spiritual journey. I want to now do something which that'll help people. So I enrolled myself for hypnotherapy. 1 year course, I became a hypnotherapist, a rapid transformational therapist. And of course, then I came across you doing a Akashic record reading. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And you know what?
Divine timing.
Yeah,
Mm.
divine. Funniest thing was, Nimesh, when we were meeting up with Sidra, whenever I used to look at you, it's like, I would love to work with him.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey,
And
you manifested it. I love it.
I was like, no, but he doesn't even know me or, who he is
Mm.
and what your impression was or image was. But I don't know, every time I saw you, I felt that it's like, wouldn't it be nice
Oh
if
wow.
I end up
I
working
don't,
with
I
him?
don't think you've ever yeah, I don't think you've ever said that to me before. I
I
love it.
haven't said that, but it just came to me now.
Mm.
And so then I started, of course,
And by the way, when those times I was still in corporate, right? I wasn't even doing this
you
healing work.
were, you
So
were, yeah. So
yeah,
I don't know
so
where it was coming from.
I love
Um,
it.
but so of course then I talked to you and you held my space beautifully with so much love and compassion, and then you guided me in spiritual mentoring and became a spiritual mentor, became an Akashic record reader. And I think it's about, like, I felt you were here to hold my space because till then I was feeling quite lonely. I was feeling I was on this journey on my own. Nobody understands my journey. Nobody has
Yeah.
walked in my path. Of course, we all have our own unique path. But I felt when I was working with you, I could just like, okay, I can breathe. I can just, I can be myself. I can cry, I can laugh.
And
Um,
crying so spiritual and so powerful.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And so, but then I wanted to be like you in the sense that I wanted to hold space for other people, and in the sense that there is no rush, and it's okay. It's beautiful to cry. I have always felt actually it's beautiful to cry. Whenever people used to
And
say,
well,
"Don't cry," I was like,
to be fair, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you cry so deeply, but you also laugh so loud, so it's beautiful.
"Only you know about
Yeah.
it."
And also, when you're healing, you yawn a lot too. It's all kind of your physical body is a big part of who you are.
True, true. I think it's a vessel, isn't it? I process everything through it. So yeah, so that's where I am, and I am helping others right now who are going through grief, and not just grief of losing a loved one, grief of losing yourself through trauma, through disease, through heartbreak, going through divorce, and any kind of bereavement. And I absolutely love doing that work. Again, I open that space, open my heart for people to say, okay, you want to break down, you break down, and
I love it.
we'll build you together. So it's understanding energy, understanding people, having love and compassion. And all I wanted to do, I remember when I was young, is whenever I used to see somebody sad or crying, I just wanted to go and give them a hug. That's all
Oh,
I wanted to do, to say,
I love it.
yeah, I want to
Hugs
show
are
you
so
love.
powerful. Yeah, hugs are. I mean, I remember during COVID, I was so surprised. The thing I missed the most was giving people hugs. I'm like, wait,
Hugs.
what? It's just like it's so healing, right? It's like such a beautiful. So let's move on to the book. Tell us about the book and kind of the premise of the book, and kind of what led you to want to write it.
So I think last year, after we finished spiritual mentoring, and I was guided, I've always wanted to write things, and when Mahesh was actually, we were going through that phase of Mahesh being ill. Funny thing was happening whenever he was in the hospital and I was waiting for him and I was feeling pain. I suddenly picked up the phone and I was just channeling poems. And I remember talking to Sidra and saying, "Oh my God, you're so cool. You can write stuff. I want to write something." And I was thinking, okay, Sidra, I definitely know that's you. You're helping me
Exactly. Yeah. It
become a
gets around.
writer. So I was guided to just put my thoughts, put my journey. I remember my nephew actually, he spoke to me. He saw my journey and he said, "Masi," he said, "I want you to talk about your journey because I know the way you have gone through it with such courage and so much love, it will really help other people." And I was thinking
Oh,
at that time,
beautiful.
it wasn't possible for me. I was too raw. And he said, "Write down." And I think last year I was guided to just start something. I think when I was talking to you, and I started writing, and I thought, you know what? I might not even share with the world.
Yeah.
It might be just process my cathartic, process of just processing my grief. you know it was really cathartic to write things down. And I then met up this wonderful lady. We had a conversation. Somebody was having a conversation I overheard about writing book. I was like, okay, what's even the process of writing book? How do you start writing book? Where does the idea comes from? And then this beautiful lady was guided to me, actually, and we connected. She's so spiritual. We feel it. She really held my space. And I said, "I don't know, I've never written anything, but I want to write about this." And she said, "Let's start it. Let's see what comes up." And we were just recording Zoom calls, and we were recording. And here we go after 14 months. Oh my
Wow.
God. You know what I realized? 14 months, Mahesh, took 14 months
Oh
to
yeah.
be.
For the cycles. Yeah.
And my
Wow.
book took 14 months to be born.
And it does
Oh
feel
my
like the end of a cycle too, right?
God.
So,
Yeah. So, so
but
yeah, the book is
tell us about
out.
the book itself. Yeah. Tell us about what is the book about?
So the book is again like called Hope Beyond Grief, Surviving the Unthinkable. And it's about how I shared my journey of grief, losing Mahesh. but not just losing Mahesh, sometimes losing myself, sometimes going through life having this belief of not being enough, and how we attract certain situations and people dependent on our beliefs, and how I work through my own beliefs with Sidra, with a hypnotherapy, with yourselves. And I just changed my belief, and how that changed my outcome of life and outlook of life as well. So when we changed the outlook of life and saying, like, something is happening to me, what I shifted that, yes, something is happening to me, but something is happening for me as well. How can
Okay.
I change that? And when I looked at myself, what is coming to me, how can I use whatever came to me to benefit me, to uplift me, to grow me, and it just changed me. Like I said, I don't even recognize myself 2 years ago, a few months ago. My
Yeah.
energy is shifting very fast. It's like I'm going through cycles so fast, every 6 months,
It's
every few
crazy,
months.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy. And I'm just thinking, wow. And so my intention was to bring hope to people who right now don't have hope, to healing to people who are going through a lot of challenges, um, to let people know that there's always that inner strength that you have. The answers that you're looking are there. Is just when you start to heal, your wounds, you start to unravel who you truly are. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. That's the intention
Beautiful.
of the book.
Yeah.
And I
I'm just,
really hope it will reach people who
I'm
need it
sure
the
it will. I'm sure it will.
most.
And grief is such a powerful expander, right? It
Yeah.
teaches us so much. So my intention is to release this episode around when your books launch. So I will include links in the show notes so people do go on. I'm sure it's going to be available on all platforms. Um, yeah, go and buy the book. It's a, it's a journey to understand, and it's a relation that grief is such an expander, and it's such a powerful and things. It's like anyone that's listening, go back to your most painful experiences and ask yourself, what did you learn from them? How did the universe support you? Because I do feel like when we're going through something painful, the universe still wants to support us, right? And we don't always see it and feel it. So Sangeeta, as we're kind of coming to the end of the podcast, I'd love for you to just share more about what do you do? What services do you offer? I mean, I'll include your stuff in the show notes. So if somebody hears your voice and thinks, you know what, I really want to know more.
Mhm.
How could they work with you? What does that look like?
Well, right now, I'm offering, of course, spiritual mentoring, hypnotherapy sessions, Reiki sessions, Akashic Record reader. And what I want you to come onto my website, sangeetadewan.com. And what I have created is 3 different phases of grief as well. So grief starts with, as soon as something happens, we are in a very space of where our heart is shattered. We just need somebody to hold our space. And then second stage is after a couple of years, when people think, okay, I know where I'm heading, but I'm still feeling lost. So I guide them. And third phase is a bit more spiritual, when you feel the connection with the lost loved one as well, but you don't understand it. So I help that again. All my sessions are downloads, are channeled, and everything I do is comes from the purity of my heart. My only intention is to make sure that you go through life and you go through those challenges with ease, as much ease as possible, and live your best life. That's my intention, that I want to see people living their best life and becoming their best version. And if I can be a little part of that journey, I am
Beautiful.
I'm really grateful. I'm grateful for the life I'm living. I'm grateful that I have the abilities that I can take people through this journey, and bringing them back to themselves. I think that's my biggest thing, is I take people back to themselves.
That's so beautiful. And yeah, I mean, Sangeeta, you've been such a blessing in terms of allowing me to guide you, and I'm excited to see what this next phase holds. I'm so proud of you for writing the book. I'm excited to see what it does, and kind of, I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people. So I am sending you so much love and light. I'm so proud of you, and I really I'm sure that your book is going to touch many souls. So thank you for who you are. Thank you for shining your light. Thank you for being on this podcast, and sending you lots of love and light.
Thank you so much.
And
I'm so grateful. I am so grateful for your presence in my life as well, Nimesh. And yeah, thank you so much.
thank you. Sending everyone so much love and light, and we will be back soon. Bye for now.